Senator Ossoff from Georgia is recognized from his office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Lang, for joining us and for your service and for the report that the President's Working Group has submitted. Could you please restate briefly what are the principal risks that you assess to be posed by the growth of the stablecoin market?
So briefly, stablecoins have been growing, and their potential to be used for payments in the ordinary world, the non-crypto world, has been increasing. So the risks that we included and identified in the PWG report are, one, the risks that investors could run on a stablecoin, perhaps because investors lose confidence in the value of the assets that are behind it. Two, the risks of disruptions to the payment system if the operations are not held to standards that ensure that payments can be made as promised. And then third, the increased risk from higher market concentration if some stablecoins were to scale up very quickly and increase market share. So those are the three risks that were identified in the PWG report, for which the PWG believed current regulations do not address.
Thank you, Ms. Lang. And the report states that stablecoins, depending on context, could be considered derivatives or commodities or securities. Why are existing regulatory authorities, in your opinion, insufficient?
So currently, stablecoins could be, I leave it to my colleagues at SEC and CFTC as to whether stablecoins are securities or commodities. But as a payments mechanism to be used by households and businesses to facilitate payment transactions, that I think is a separate consideration, and that is what the PWG report focused on.
And what regulatory actions might you recommend be undertaken for which the department currently lacks statutory authority?
So currently, stablecoin issuers are authorized. They're licensed by state money transmitter laws, some trust banks in some states. There is not a federal agency. The principal recommendation is that stablecoin issuers register, be required to be insured depository institutions, where the regulation and supervision of these institutions would be matched to the risks and activities of a stablecoin issuer, so that if it does not make loans or extend credit, it's not subject to the same set of rules that other traditional commercial banks might be.
And what are the most common mechanisms by which issuers peg the value of the stablecoin to the US dollar? And which of those mechanisms, in your view, present the most risk or may most require some form of prudential regulation at the federal level?
There are many different stablecoins issuers right now. I think the predominant is tied to the value of the US dollar, and they do that by holding reserve assets in US dollars that are on redemption request would be able to be converted to $1. So that is the primary, by far the largest stablecoin issuers. The issue at question is whether the stablecoin issuer could actually provide a user $1 on request. And the IDI framework, the Insured Depository Institution framework, would be an important step to ensuring that stablecoins, in fact, deliver the dollar when asked.
And in your view and in the analysis of the working group and of relevant law, Ms. Lang, you don't believe that currently regulatory authorities have adequate statutory authority to, for example, impose reserve requirements or other prudential requirements on such issuers to ensure that they can maintain the peg if there's a sudden increase in demand for redemption?
I don't think there is any regulation that requires them to do that, no.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Lang. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank